Most highly anticipated TV review of the year. I mean, no pressure, right? Welcome back, everyone. I'm Caleb Dennison, and yes, I'm talking about the LG C10, or CX if you absolutely must, OLED television, coming in hot at about $2,500 for a 65-inch model, which is still a lot of money to spend on a 65-inch TV even these days. So the million-dollar question we've got to ask is it worth it? Well, let's find out. There is so much to talk about with this TV, but I think I want to start with this question I keep seeing everywhere. Should I get the C9 or the C10? And I know that comes from the fact that the picture quality is essentially the same. Almost everything is the same, but it's about $300 less. And if you can get the same quality for $300 less, then why not save the money? Well, first of all, the C9 is only going to be around for so long. And can't you say that about pretty much any TV these days? Like, it's always going to get replaced, and sometimes those changes are iterative. Sometimes you get a big boost, and then it's a very clear indication that you should get the newer TV. In this case, there is one unanticipated difference between the TVs, and that is that the C9, we have recently learned, will not be getting NVIDIA G-Sync. So if you're a hardcore gamer and that was important to you, then it's a no-brainer. Get the C10. But also, let's just be honest, those C9s, they're almost gone, and pretty soon they won't even be an option. So I really want to focus on the C10 and its own merits. With that out of the way, I want to talk about a couple of things before, I promise, we get to the picture quality. One, I'm kind of over WebOS and the Magic Motion remote here. In fact, I'm just going to put it down. The thing about WebOS is that it was really great when it first came out. There were no good smart TV systems back then, and WebOS was very much breakthrough, and I enjoyed it, and I talked all about how I liked it. It was my favorite operating system for a while. And then Roku came out, and well, they kind of changed the whole game. Also, I'm kind of over the whole Magic Motion remote thing. Like, it's been a while since the Wii kind of went away, and I'd like to see the Magic Motion remote go away. Maybe something a little bit slimmer with fewer buttons that really just relies on an on-screen interface to navigate things. So yeah, it's not going to make or break this TV. I just wanted to add a little bit of commentary there because I usually do talk about how I like WebOS, and I'm kind of fallen out of love with it. Sorry, LG. The other thing I want to talk about here, which I don't normally do with TVs because it usually sucks, is the sound. And the sound of this TV is kind of impressive when you first hear it. There's far more bass than you'd think. In fact, I heard this thing thumping from down the hall the other day when my daughter was playing Fortnite. It also is fairly well balanced. I mean, it doesn't have super aggressive treble. I would definitely recommend a soundbar for a premium audio experience, but know that as impossibly thin as this TV is, it actually has decent sound. Oh, one more quick thing. I mentioned in the unboxing I would test out AI Sound Pro. I did. I don't feel like it brings much to the table. I just ended up leaving it off. I also felt the same about most of the AI stuff. AI brightness control does work well to control the brightness based on how bright your room is, but since I really want this TV to be as bright as it can be, I just left all of these off, and I was very pleased with the results. Let's take a second to talk about design, which on this TV I enjoy a great deal. I'm always astonished when I unbox an OLED at just how thin they are. But beyond being thin, it's just a classy looking TV. Even the stand is nice, and it actually is functional. It helps improve the audio that I just talked about. Now, let's talk about picture quality. And I think you know where I'm going to go here, but there may be a couple of surprises on the way. I'm definitely going to try and tick all of the boxes for you here. All right, so let's start with black levels. It has perfect blacks, but I wouldn't say that the black levels themselves are perfect. Actually, what I should say is the dark gray levels are not perfect. See, OLED TVs have trouble coming out of black because they need a certain amount of voltage before they light up. And because of the way a TV's electro-optical transfer function works, OLED TVs just kind of skip a couple of dark gray levels before they start showing a gray. And what that results in is crushed black levels. Yes, you can even crush black levels with an OLED TV. Is that a problem? Most of the time, absolutely not. I suppose if you're watching really, really dark content, like Ozark is one I always bring up from Netflix, it can look very dark, like too dark. Maybe you're not seeing stuff in shadows. But the real issue that it presents is with some gaming situations, which I'll talk about in just a minute. Now let's talk about brightness, which is at the other end of the contrast spectrum. The TV does about 214 nits on average in SDR, but it's the HDR brightness that we all really care about, right? Because that's what makes the picture pop. And I am pleased to tell you it caps out at about 750 nits. Now that may not sound like a lot when we talk about TVs that have like 1,000 nits of brightness, but trust me, it is perfectly sufficient for a really great HDR experience. When you start from perfect black, you don't have to overjuice a TV to get the contrast. But you also want it to be bright enough to look good when you've got a lot of daylight flooding into the room, and this TV does just fine with that. Quick little note, I use ISF Bright Room mode as a starting point on this TV. You can also use Cinema. Filmmaker mode is going to be significantly darker. So if you're looking for the most zesty picture, I kind of like starting with ISF Bright Room mode, but your mileage may vary. To be fair though, I have to tell you that I have never been a super bright TV kind of person. It's just not my bag. I understand that many of you are though. You like that really, really bright picture. And if that's how you roll, this TV just isn't for you. Fortunately though, there are tons of really great LED TVs coming out this year, so there are tons of options. Now let's talk about color, which is excellent right out of the box in the preferred picture modes. I mean, as long as you stay away from standard or vivid, you're gonna do great. Doesn't really need a calibration. I went ahead and made some adjustments and it refined things a little bit, but the out-of-box experience is excellent. Know that you're gonna enjoy the color on this TV a great deal. I want to talk about screen uniformity, which is excellent on this TV, as you can see here. No problems with this full field gray. There's no splotchiness. It's perfectly even, which is excellent. That's going to make this TV great for watching sports. Quick word on processing. LG is on Gen 3 of its Alpha 9 processor, always been very good. I think Sony's is just a little bit better, but when you take a look at how it improves low bit depth and low bit rate content, it does a very good job. You can see a little bit of color banding if you get right up on the TV, but from a normal seating distance, it's a non-issue. I also think it does a pretty good job of upscaling low resolution content. I mean, it's not a miracle worker. So if you're looking at a low quality 720p signal, it can't turn it into the most pristine 4K HDR looking image out there, but it's as good as any other TV I've ever seen. Motion is also very good. I haven't noticed any significant stutter or judder. The motion doesn't have that artificial look that you get with the soap opera effect, so just remember, turn true motion off, and I think you'll be thrilled with the motion of this television. Put that all together, and what you get is one of the best pictures you can get in a TV today. Not really shocking, because we've been saying that for quite some time. The only real issue is the crushing of the blacks, which is not going to be a problem for most people, but I think that helps us transition nicely into the gaming portion of this review. We tested this TV with an Xbox One X and a PlayStation 4, and both of those consoles cap out at 60 Hertz. We don't have a hot rod PC around here to do 120 Hertz gaming, but if you want to see footage like that, check out the Villaman's channel. He does a very comprehensive gaming review on this particular television. But with the consoles at 60 Hertz, it was fantastic. Absolutely no screen tearing. The responsiveness was excellent, low input lag, very responsive pixels. I mean, just across the board, a fantastic gaming experience. With one caveat, we found that in extremely dark game areas, like if you're in a first-person shooter and you go into a dark tunnel or a cave or something like that, you're gonna have trouble seeing around. So if you're a hardcore first-person shooter, competitive gamer, and you play a lot of games with dark scenes or your enemies are hiding in the shadows, that may not be so great for you. Outside of that though, the HDR game experience is fantastic, as you can see right here. It has a very sort of glossy look to it. All the HDR highlights do pop. You can get brighter HDR highlights, but I really don't think you need them here when you're dealing with a perfect black level. I mean, I don't know what else to say. This TV is fantastic in just about every conceivable way. Certainly one of the best TVs you can buy this year. It's a little pricey, $2,500 for a 65-inch is nothing to sneeze at, but you definitely get what you pay for out of the TV. Now, in a comparison to the Sony A8H, which you also know that I like, and we called the A9G the best OLED of last year, I think this TV is going to top it, and that's because of the feature set. The fact that you get four 4K 120 Hz HDMI 2.1 ports future-proofs this TV as much as a TV can be future-proofed, and then you get all the FreeSync and G-Sync that you want for an outstanding HDR gaming experience. Then it does movies well, it does streaming well, everything looks amazing. I mean, what can I say? I absolutely love it. Thanks, as always, for watching, everyone. This review was a long time coming, and I hope it was worth the wait. Let me know what you think about the LG C10 OLED, and do you think Vizio can compete? Leave a comment down below, like, subscribe, hit that notification bell, and as always, visit digitaltrends.com for the latest tech news and reviews.